Live, brought to you by the Physicians Committee. Hi, I am the weight loss champion, Chuck Carroll, and this is the healthiest half hour anywhere online today. Appreciate you joining us right here on Facebook and on YouTube. So let us set the plate right now for the show today, because they say that the family who goes vegan together loses weight together. And a lot of it. Stefanie Ignoffo is here with us today to share her secrets, her family secrets behind the incredible 250-pound plant-based transformation. Stefanie, this is such an incredible story. I can't wait to dive into it with you.
Thank you, Chuck. Thanks for having me today. Great to be here.
And Dr. Neal Barnard also with us today. And if you are looking for a reason to keep it plant-based, man, he has a big one, because there is a new study showing millions of chickens are too sick even for the slaughterhouse. That begs the question, what else is with that chicken you're eating for dinner? Dr. Barnard, this is pretty nasty stuff, but I'm glad you're here to talk about it, my friend.
You bet, Chuck.
And put on your thinking caps. Come up with a question for Dr. Barnard, because we will be opening up the doctor's mailbag. So go ahead, post yours in the comments section now, or you can tweet it to us using the hashtag ExamRoomLive. But first, let's get you caught up on the latest happenings. Here are your health headlines for Wednesday, August 26th, 2020. The dangerous combination of obesity and COVID-19 is now again being highlighted by a new study. Researchers at the University of North Carolina finding people who have a body mass index greater than 30 are more than twice as likely to be hospitalized if infected, and 74% more likely to require intensive care. The report also finds a nearly 50% greater risk of death. A BMI over 30 is considered obese. The study's authors are calling for healthy food policies to play a larger role in combating COVID-19. And taking a look at the coronavirus now by the numbers, nearly 40,000 new cases and 1,200 deaths were reported on Tuesday. The total number of cases in the U.S. expected to top 5.8 million today. But in the fight against the pandemic, there is some good news from right here at the Physicians Committee. 53% of participants in our Fight COVID-19 with Food series who had type 2 diabetes experienced improvements in their health after learning about plant-based diets. More than half of those who had high blood pressure also reported improvements, while 2/3 hoping to lose weight were able to do so successfully. The free 8-week course was designed for communities hardest hit by chronic diseases and COVID-19. Moving on now, there is a damning new report revealing more than 35,000 chickens a day are deemed defective by slaughterhouses in England and Wales because of disease. And those are the findings of an exhaustive 3-year investigation by the Guardian newspaper and the Bureau of Investigative Journalism, which concluded over that time, 61 million birds were rejected over these concerns. I want to bring Dr. Neal Barnard into this conversation now. Dr. Barnard, very alarming stuff here. A couple of concerns immediately come to mind for me, and that is, one, the conditions that these chickens are being kept in before they reach the slaughterhouse even, and two, 61 million diseased chickens were caught. How many slipped by?
Okay. Those are all great points. Let me walk you through what they found. It was the Food Standards Agency data from the UK, and the Guardian paper and others went through the data to see what they actually found. And nobody really thought that these data were going to come out and see the light of day. But over a 3-year period, from the middle of 2016 to the middle of 2019, 61 million birds got to the slaughterhouse. The slaughterhouse said, "You are too sick to be even turned into a plastic package," and they were rejected. That was, as you said, 35,000 per day. However, even before they get loaded on the truck, about 4% of the chickens who are raised die just on the farm. So what does that mean? It means the chickens are raised, about 4% of them are dead before they even go on the truck. Once they're on the truck, they get to the slaughterhouse, and many more of them are so sick that they're not even slaughtered, they're just turned away. And so the remainder go through the slaughtering process and are turned into somebody's lunch. So why are they so sick? And what does that tell us about the ones that actually made it through the process to become a nugget? Well, as you know, on typical factory farms, not just in the UK, but here in the United States for sure, particularly all around here in the Washington, D.C. area, we have chicken farms up in Maryland, all up and down. These are the conditions in which the birds are raised. And the whole goal is money. You take a huge number of birds, cram them into a small space, And your goal is to put out as little money as you need to for feed and care to try to get as much money you can from the slaughter process. It takes just 6 weeks from egg to slaughter for a typical chicken in the United States. That's right. And during that 6 weeks, because they have been genetically bred, they can become obese. So then what do? You load them into a crate. Now, this is a typical commercial chicken crate, fits 8 chickens. But who's counting? When you get to the other end, there could be 10, there could be 12. And they are thrown into these crates by people who get paid very poorly, and they are working fast. So if a wing breaks, if a leg snaps off, if a chicken's head is stuck underneath another chicken's body or out the top, all of these things happen every single day. And the idea is they are supposed to arrive at the slaughterhouse in pristine conditions. However, if you've ever driven down the highway in Arkansas, Maryland, some other chicken producing state, you see conditions that hardly look savory at all. The chickens are very often in rough shape, obviously not getting water and so forth along the way. If you think about it, why do people want this product anyway? If you're cramming that many animals together, they're going to be passing microbes one to the other. So in addition to the cholesterol you're getting, and the fat that you're getting from the chickens, and the chicken fecal material that's on the outside, you're getting germs. E. coli, very, very common, and researchers years ago found that one of the principal causes of urinary tract infections in women is E. coli, specifically from chickens. You open that chicken package, the little chicken juice dribbles out on your counter, and suddenly you realize chickens aren't fruit. They don't have juice. What is this? It's water bath from the cooling bath in the slaughterhouse that cools the carcass down, gets all full of fecal material, and some of it packs into the chicken package that you buy at the store. It dribbles out on your counter. You wipe it off with your sponge. The sponge is touches your hands, touches your kitchen surfaces. You're spreading the germs all around, and it's very, very easy for them to get into your body and to cause problems. So I'm hoping that I've maybe grossed you out just enough to have you rethink what you might have for lunch if you still have chicken on the menu.
Wow.
Back to you.
The big takeaway: chicken is not fruit. Thank you for clearing that up. That is just, every time that we discuss this on the show, I do get a little bit more queasy. It is not the most pleasant thing to think about. It's funny to me how there is this disassociation between the chicken that we see in the store and where it actually came from. I think if more people saw the images that you were just displaying, they definitely would be thinking twice about what they're eating for lunch.
Well, we really do need to. We sort of have this Disneyland idea that somehow an animal hops between the layers of a bun and becomes lunch. And if you look at how chickens are used, not for meat, those were the chickens we just saw there, but those who are used for eggs. The females end up being spent, and they often are in very rough shape when they arrive at the slaughterhouse. But the facilities that produce the layers, when the eggs hatch and the chickens come out, they're sorted, the males can't be used as laying hens. What happens to them? They get stuffed, often alive, into trash bags. They're smothered. They're ground up alive. It's a grotesque business. So anyway, I grew up kind of imagining that the world was a nicer place than it is. And once you have a look at where your lunch comes from, it does make you want to take a stand.
All right, Dr. Barnard, stick around. We're going to be opening up the doctor's mailbag in just a little bit. So if you do have a question for Dr. Barnard, go ahead and post that in the comments section. We'll be opening that up a little bit later on in the show. We definitely need to switch gears here and do something a little bit more positive after that, because, wow. The power of change, though. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about inspiration, right? Let's make this a feel-good kind of a Wednesday. Talk about the power of change. Yesterday on the program, Dr. Vanita Rahman was discussing the importance of having a support system when you're trying to improve your health, making big changes in your life, especially when it comes to weight loss. Well, my next guest had the ultimate support system. She had her family. Stefanie Ignoffo, worried that her health was rapidly deteriorating, worried that she would be missing out in the big moments in her children's lives. She was worried, flat out, that life was passing her by. So Stephanie makes the decision to go vegan, and her family, lo and behold, rallies around her. They all make the switch with her, and collectively, they lost more than 250 pounds. What a story this is. What a journey this is. And I'm so proud and thrilled that Stephanie is with us on the Exam Room Live today. Stephanie, thank you so very much for being here.
Thanks, Chuck, for having me. It's a pleasure.
What a story. You were recently on the Exam Room podcast, and that episode was so popular. I just thought it was so important to bring you on the Exam Room Live as well to talk about this, because a lot of people, they feel like they're all alone when they're making these transitions, but your entire family rallied together, banded together, and man, we'll talk about a change.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. It didn't start off like that, though. At first, I thought it was crazy talk. But we did. We all did it together. Do I tell the story, Chuck? Do I tell them how we got here?
Well, yeah. Well, let's walk us through here, because I know that leading up to you making this decision to really overhaul your diet, you were kind of in a bad way. I think that you mentioned to me that you barely walked up but one flight of stairs every day.
Once a day, I would go up my stairs. I could barely move around. I was holding on to my kitchen counters to kind of get around. It was a rough life that I was living. I thought that this was the way your 40s would go. I've got high blood pressure, cholesterol problems, tons of problems, overweight. I'd been dieting my whole life. I had tried everything, and I was sick. I don't think I would be here today had I not done what I had done, because losing weight doesn't always reverse those diseases.
And what about your mobility? How difficult was it for you to even just get around the house? I know that you limited your stairs to just one flight a day, but I'm sure that every step was painful.
It was very painful. I was facing double knee replacements for, the weight had taken a toll on me. I was contemplating a walker, Chuck. I thought it was kind of funny at first. I was so young to be looking into it, but it was the reality of my mobility and getting around. I actually have a permanent handicap. I had a permanent handicap sticker on my car. That was my life before. Yes. Yeah.
How old were you when you got that permanent handicap sticker? Just out of curiosity.
40.
You were 40. How was that? I mean, 40 to so many people still seems like such a young age, and then to have that sticker, talk to me about the emotions that came with that.
Depressing. I missed a lot of stuff because of that. We didn't go to concerts. I didn't go to amusement parks. I missed prom dress shopping with my girls. I missed a lot of life because getting out and going, walking around even to the mall was just too much for me. So, I lived that sedentary life, sitting on the couch and, not doing much.
So what was your diet like at the time? I think on the podcast, you mentioned that you thought that you all were eating a healthy diet, and this was still happening to you.
Yeah, I thought I knew it all, Chuck. Eating the lean chicken, like Dr. Barnard was talking about. No wonder so many urinary tract infections were going on. I was chronically and constantly sick. So lots of lean chicken every day, the ground turkey, the low-fat milk, the low-fat cheeses. I was sucked into all that, counting points, calories, restricting. I was living a diet every day. Every day I woke up thinking, well, I'm eating my fruit. I'm going to have my lean chicken. It didn't work for me, Chuck. It wasn't working for us. That picture that you see of us before the weight loss, yeah, right there, the overweight picture, that was us after a 30-day Weight Watcher challenge. That was us showing off our weight loss right there and how healthy we looked. So that was about as good as it got for us right there. But all that changed, of course, when I learned a little bit more.
Yeah, before we get to the plant-based diet, let's talk about yo-yo dieting. That so many people, it's impossible to get off of that cycle of, you lose the weight and you put it back on, even with these big time programs like Weight Watchers and things like that. I'm sure you were no stranger to that.
Story of my life. From the age of 13, I can remember, just going on diets, starting diets from the shredded wheat diet, the cabbage soup diet, every diet you can think of, Chuck. I might have lost a couple pounds, but each year I got bigger each year I gained more weight back, and it just didn't stay off. Everything just kept coming back, and then some. And I creeped up all the way to 278 pounds at one point.
So what led you to the idea of going plant-based? That's such a big departure from all these commercial programs.
Well, I'm really happy to share this story because I think it resonates with so many people. My daughter was 15 at the time, and she had come home from school saying she wanted to go vegan. And I said, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You're going to die of protein deficiency. Where are you going to get your calcium? Dad and I were pretty upset. We didn't want to be, buying all this milk for this fad diet and this crazy talk. But, I was really worried about her health. So I started researching on the internet, just how long can we live without meat? I found out, Chuck, not only can we live without it, we can thrive without it. So while we were, my husband and I were in our 11th surgery in 9 months. That's a lot of surgeries, procedures. We were laid up on the couch again, and I said, let's watch this documentary, Forks Over Knives, that I had seen while doing the research. It hit us like a ton of bricks, and I felt pretty empowered after that. I wanted to make some changes rapidly. Yeah.
What about that felt different to you from everything that you had attempted in the past? Because I always feel like when you find that right path for you, you find what works, there is a different feeling, and it's almost hard to even describe.
Yeah, that's a loaded question. There's a lot of feelings that went with us. I mean, we were going against what no doctor had ever told me this. I was in a doctor's office every week, every month. Nobody really said, take a look at your food. They said, lose weight, which I was a pro at losing weight, Chuck. I could lose weight, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, but it would come back. But something I made the connection when they started talking about heart disease and genetics. And I had a history of this. I mean, I had been having high blood pressure problems since the age of 21. And I was at the time 13 years on blood pressure medication and just failed my last stress test. So when they started talking about we didn't have to have this, I thought, you know what, let me give this a try. The ethical stuff came in later, of course, but I started this all about the diet, and I truly was still in a quick fix mentality. But the weight started up. I just want to tell everybody, after watching Forks Over Knives, I could no longer bring animal into the house. I started thinking the same way that I was teaching my kids to buckle up their seatbelt, wear a helmet, stranger danger talks. I wanted my kids to be safe. I wanted them to be healthy. And I made the connection that the food was the ultimate way to keep my kids safe and keep them healthy. So as the person who did the grocery shopping, I was in control of that. So I stopped bringing animal in 100%. We kind of went cold tofurkey, Chuck, okay? Yeah.
But were they all on board, or was there a little bit of that apprehension? I'm sure that at least the one daughter who wanted to go vegan was on board for this, but what was the reaction from the rest of the family?
Well, yeah, she was thrilled that I finally stopped, giving her a hard time. But my son, he was very obese. His whole life, he struggled with that going through school. My husband, he was very overweight as well. We were all just like, let's try it. We made the connection with health. Here we were dieting every day. Every day we thought we were being healthy. So I just wanted to be open-minded, really listen to what they were saying. And we just started looking at it like, let's see how this works. And it worked fantastic. Everybody started learning how to cook a little bit. It wasn't like it is today with all the fake meats and, all the menu options out there today. It's much easier, but we started off a little rough, but the family embraced one another. We could not believe how quick the weight was coming off for us. It was miraculous. I mean, I had my son in Weight Watchers with me. My husband was there with me. We always were kind of doing it together. We were getting sick together too, Chuck. We were getting bigger and bigger. We were getting sicker and sicker. So when I said, hey, you guys, let's do this. Let's see how it works. Yeah, they all joined me, and they were not disappointed, Chuck.
No, I can't imagine that they would be. I mean, what were those? Did you do weekly weigh-ins? How did that work? Because I'm sure that, I can just envision a scenario where somebody steps on the scale and you just hear this, yeah, I did it kind of thing.
That's exactly how it went. It really, really was. They were coming out of their rooms. They were, the kids were, their acne was clearing up. They were feeling more energetic in their sports. They were seeing the impact, I want to say almost immediately. It is within days we started feeling less sore. The puffiness went down. So each day that we kind of kept it up, we wanted to do it another day. And we wanted to look up more recipes. And we got excited about it. And that's what you got.
And what about you? I mean, the physical transformation, you were just kind of hinting at it, but you were at a point where you could barely walk around your own home. You were about to need a walker. You were only doing one flight of stairs a day. How did you start to change physically? When did you start to feel better?
It was a couple months that I realized, like, I have so much energy, and I was not really somebody who worked out. So I took the clothes I had drying off my recumbent bike, and I got on it one day, and I was like, wow, that felt great. And I thought, let me see how far I can go tomorrow, and let me see how far I can go the next day. And next thing you know, Chuck, I was doing 13 miles on this bike. And I told my husband, we have to get bikes. We have to go outside. We have to I felt that this was my second chance at life. I never lived like that. I didn't treat my body the way that it was meant to be treated. And I started taking advantage of it. Got a couple bikes, and I now ride about 100 to 120 miles a week on these old knees, Chuck. Yeah.
Look at you, pedal meister. I love that so much. And it doesn't sound like you're missing out on any more of life's moments. You're there with your family side by side.
Yes. We go to events. We go to amusement parks together. We do a lot of stuff together now. And they say, Mom, it's nice to have you here with us. It's nice to not cancel plans because Mom can't get around, or Mom doesn't want to go, or, let's not forget the self-esteem. I've tried to convince myself for many years, Marilyn Monroe was, this size, or, this is beautiful this way. But it really came down to the health was what was important to me. Of course, I was beautiful before. Of course, my family was beautiful before, but they weren't healthy. And that was the reality.
What advice would you have for a parent right now who's watching you, hearing your story, and says, man, I want to make these changes for my family as well? How would you get them going?
Well, I would say, let me talk to whoever is doing the grocery shopping, because they're truly the one in charge. Nobody's forcing you to bring those unhealthy foods back home. Even when kids are little and they don't want to put their seatbelt on, that doesn't matter. We know what's best for them because they're our children. So that's the way I started looking at food. And I would say, bring the foods home. Try some of those new vegan products. Try the fake meats. Try the non-dairy milks. Just get hyped up about it. Show them that it can be delicious. It can be exciting. If we go into it and we say, oh, I don't know if you're going to like it, you're setting up, a not good vibe. So just get excited. Make them macaroni and cheese. Show them how good pizza can be, vegan. We really got each other excited about foods and how to transform your favorite dishes into plant-based dishes. We go into this thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to give up so much. Wow, that's the farthest thing from the truth. I'm actually a better cook than ever. All my family cooks better than ever. We're eating more flavors, more cuisines. I didn't even know what half of these dishes were, and now we're eating them all the time. I feel like you guys don't know what you're missing out on, okay? We're eating the same animals every day on the standard American diet. But this lifestyle, it's colors, it's flavor, it's fabulous, it's no restricting. You guys, I'm eating pasta almost every day. We got to just get rid of the old thinking and realize that this is where it's at. We want to live longer. We want to keep our kids safe. We've got an obesity epidemic for children, and I was part of it. I didn't realize that what I was bringing home was affecting them. And we can't control everything that they do. When they're not at home, they're out there doing their stuff. But when we are a good role model and we show them and we keep putting that environment of healthy foods around, it's going to work. They're going to eat the apples. They're going to eat the bananas. They have no problem wiping me out over here with the fruits and vegetables.
And this is what you do now for a living. You actually take people by the hand and you kind of show them the way with your company now, Plantspiration, and you're a certified food for life instructor as well. What kind of classes do you have cooking up right now?
Well, I'm doing the Kickstart series again. This is always a great go-to. I love when people can just come in for one class or maybe many of them. But with this COVID and this pandemic, we are still dealing with these pre-existing conditions, obesity. So I believe the Kickstart is one of the most exciting. Well, the Body and Balance is really exciting too, but the Kickstart is really exciting, and it really hits people close to home with the greatest recipes. Families love everything that I bring to them, and the Food for Life classes, and the recipes and the menu's great. So I'm in the middle of a Kickstart class. Every week, I just show people a breakfast, lunch, a dinner, talk about the options that they have out there, inspire them and motivate them. And I do see it like a plant interventionist, because I didn't believe this at first. I didn't think that this was true, but I want to show people I've been where they are at. I know how it feels, and I'm quickly wanting to get them their favorite foods made plant-based so that they can see it's easy and cheap, all of the above. Good time.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So go sign up now, plantspiration.org. I love that name, by the way, Plantspiration. Plantspiration.org is the website, and at Plantspiration on Instagram. Stefanie Ignoffo, thank you so very much. What an incredible story.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you very much. Always an honor to be here with you guys. Thank you to PCRM for helping me inspire more people. Hope to see you in my class soon, you guys.
All right. Time now to open up the doctor's mailbag. And today's question comes to us from Mary. Dr. Barnard, I'm going to bring you back in to answer this one. Mary is wondering about blood types and COVID-19. She writes, I heard a report that someone with type A blood may be at greater risk for COVID-19. Are there any updates to confirm this?
There are. In fact, can we pull up my screen? I saw this question coming in, and can we share my screen? There we go. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. Okay, got that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's talk about blood types in just 45 seconds. Your red blood cells differ one person from another. If you just have a red blood cell, carries oxygen from place to place, you're type O. But there are antigens, proteins that can be on the surface of the cell. If you got A antigens, A proteins, they're on the surface of the cell, you're type A blood. If you got B ones, you're type B blood. But some people have A and B antigens and they're type AB. And so you want to make sure that if a person gets a blood transfusion, you use the right kind of blood so you don't reject the blood cells that are coming in. So what happened? This was fairly early in the pandemic. In China, they discovered, looking at more than 2,000 people with blood type A were more susceptible. If you were blood type O, you were less susceptible. Now, when that study came out, everybody poo-pooed it. They said, it sounds ridiculous. It sounds just like a fad, whatever. We took it seriously, and I'll tell you why. In 2016, there was a meta-analysis that had been performed of prior studies, and blood group A at that time was at higher risk for coronary artery disease, and blood group O was at lower risk of coronary artery disease. So we figured, okay, that probably means blood group A will be more susceptible to COVID. And the Nurses' Health Study at Harvard, Health Professionals Follow-Up Study also at Harvard, showed that if you don't have type O blood, you're 11% more likely to have heart disease. So here's the new study. Came out in June, just 2 months ago, in the New England Journal of Medicine. And they looked at COVID patients. And they looked at who did badly with the disease, meaning you've got respiratory failure. For blood group A, 45% more likely. Blood group O, 35% less likely. So your question, does blood group matter? It does. You can't change your blood group. If you are blood group O, you do have reduced risk. If you have blood group A, you have slightly reduced risk. But what's the answer to it? The answer to it is eat a healthy diet no matter what, and that means a healthy plant-based diet. Some people have made the mistake, Chuck, of thinking, well, if I'm blood group A, I should eat a certain way, and if I'm blood group O, I should eat a different way. And there was a book that came out in the 1990s it suggested that people eat differently based on their blood type. What we have found is that everybody does well on the plant-based way of eating, and most everybody does badly on the animal-based way of eating. So eat in a healthy way, and if you are blood type O, be glad that you got a little extra advantage.
There you go. All right, Dr. Barnard, appreciate your wisdom there. That's really interesting research there. So appreciate you doing some digging for us today.
Thank you, Chuck.
All right. And if you do have a question that we didn't get to today, we will save it and we will try to get you an answer on an upcoming episode. And you can also keep on posting them. We'll save that one too and see if we can't get you an answer as well. As always, you can also tweet them to us using the hashtag #ExamRoomLive. You know, we really did put the spotlight on COVID-19 and the importance of healthy diets today. And of course, the success of the entire Ignoffo family is just undeniable. And it is proof positive that change is possible. You can indeed win the weight wars and finally achieve the healthy life that you always wanted. Well, here's what we can do to help you. The doctors and dietitians at the Barnard Medical Center, they are ready to help guide you on your journey. So call 202-527-7500 or visit barnardmedical.org to schedule your appointment today. You can do that right over your computer thanks to telemedicine. So don't wait. Take control of your health right now, 202-527-7500 or barnardmedical.org to make your appointment and see a full list of states where telemedicine is available. And also don't forget to subscribe to the Exam Room Podcast on Apple Podcast and wherever it is that you get your podcast from. And please leave a healthy 5-star rating. Coming up tomorrow on the Exam Room Live, diabetes will be back in the spotlight when Carolyn Trapp joins us. She's participating in a new series with Dr. Barnard and his book, and it's called Tackling Diabetes. This one centers around that most recent book called Your Body in Balance. So type 2 diabetes, it now affects, latest count, I believe, more than 34 million Americans. Hugely important show tomorrow, right back here on Facebook and YouTube at noon Eastern. But for today, we're all out of time. My thanks again to Stefanie Ignoffo and her family for that incredible inspiration today. What a story. And of course, a tip of the cap to the crew behind the scenes that makes this plant-based production happen. For Dr. Neal Barnard and everyone here at the Physicians Committee, I am the weight loss champion, Chuck Carroll. Thanks so very much for watching. And until tomorrow, stay safe, take a stand, and keep it plant-based.